feedback from the body in front of us is that consultation was not delivered appropriately. Yes? And part of the reason why I say this is not just because people are frustrated presently here, but from my experience, when that merger discussion was happening, in terms of a consultation, and you would know that I know this, that the only form of consultation we had was a double-side, one sheet of paper, which was in landscape presentation, it was colour, and the tiny little print was, please give us your feedback. Now, generally speaking, I would say this is not just evident in circles, so this isn't we're not putting you down from this perspective, but generally speaking, I think what you'll find nationally, when you put out something like that to people, you're never ever going to get a robust response. Never. The turnout, and as you've just illustrated, was quite poor. You know. So, what gave you the precedent, I think, is what Michael's trying to say, to go ahead with this merge. It wasn't our say-so.
Right. It was. We carried out a consultation exercise in line with best practice. We consulted. Well, we would have been consulting virtually close to 200,000 people across England. So it was a national consultation. I think what's important actually now is that everyone clearly understands that the merger has actually taken place, and let's actually talk about the benefits that the merger brings. Let's focus, because it's not going to change now. We are where we are.
Right.
The Clarion Housing Group. That Clarion Housing Group is what it is.
Yes.
We have the boards of Circle and the Affinity Sutton Homes Group thought long and hard about bringing the two organisations together.
Yeah.
There was one of the great challenges we face is that the governments of both colours have been reducing the amount of money invested in social housing. Both our organisations are absolutely committed to providing social housing. It's why we exist. It's what we're all about. It's in the DNA of the organisation. We are not-for-profit organisations. We have. Sorry.
What about surplus? What about the 200 million surplus?
No, let him finish this bit.
Yeah. It's important, but we have to do, in order to cope, in order to build homes without public subsidy. We have to develop housing for sale, and we have to use the profits from housing for sale, profits that will show in our income expenditure account as a surplus. We have to use that, and we do use that. All our profit is recycled in investment in homes, new homes, and investment in existing homes. So that's why we do it. So that's the model. So it's a changing model for providing social housing. And the boards have decided, bringing the two organisations together, we could build more than twice the number of homes that we were previously planning on. And our objective is to build over 50,000 homes over 10 years. And that's a significant, without a reliance on any funding from government.
So I'll just ask, is Merton Regen part of that strategy?
Yeah, Merton Regen is part of building homes.
Is that why you joined up with us?
Sorry?
Is that why you joined up with us, Sutton? Is that why you joined up with Merton?
You're Circle, aren't you? Austen,
I was Circle. We're all Clarion Housing.
But yeah, you were Circle.
Affinity. You're from Affinity.
I was.
You were, right. So you joined Merton because of the benefits of the regeneration that was due or still due to take place. Is that right or wrong?
No, it's not. No.
No, I asked him.
I mean, I can't remember offhand how much the regeneration is going to cost. I think it's about 900 million.
Did you associate yourself with Merton based on the forthcoming regeneration? Because he's sitting there telling us about housing, protecting this, protecting that, and his ethos for how they want to go forward. I haven't heard yours, but it sounds like you've joined him as a beneficiary of what will happen long term.
I don't know why you think that.
Because I think out the box, and I read all the paperwork you guys put out, and what I'm asking is very simple. Have you joined Merton Priory Homes based on the benefit, based on them going to be beneficiaries of a massive regeneration. Why couldn't Sutton do a regeneration on its own?
Well, we do regenerations and have done regenerations on our own, but I'm not sure. The beneficiary bit I don't really understand, because actually it's going to cost
all
money.
This glamorous stuff that's going to happen after the regeneration, and you've attached yourself to us just before it's about to happen, and you've done it without our permission. You are now working in cahoots with my landlord.
No.
And what most of us are asking you to do is to justify that.
Sorry, I've forgotten your name.
What are the benefits?
Neil.
Hang on.
Neil McCall. So Neil McCall.
This is how they feel.
Michael, you need to let him answer the question, yeah? And just stop from there.
I think what Michael's asking. I'm going to try this one, Michael. But I think what Michael's asking is that have you two circle? Well, you're ex-Savills, aren't you? Actually, Austen Reid. You're ex-Saville. You're the ex-Savills.
Yes, I work for Savills, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where you got your private sector experience from.
I've got lots of experience.
Well, Savills have got quite a name in regeneration, haven't they?
So Chris, ask your question.
All right, my point is that Michael's asking, have the two of you amalgamated because either company was suffering financially?
No, we didn't actually. And I think if you want to try and run conspiracy theories, it really is a waste of time. Let's talk about building homes and providing services to tenants and leaseholders, because that's what we really want to talk about.
Well, let's take that services and providing homes.
Hang on.
Can we try that? Michael.
Chris. Hang on a second, please.
This is a public meeting. You put yourself in a public place to accept questions from the public, and you should answer them in kind. You don't get personal with me.
I'm very sorry, I haven't got personal.
You all heard what he said. Conspiracy theory. Everything I've said to you, son, you can go on the internet and take it down and read it. That's why I'm asking you these things. I'm asking you questions and things.
Okay.
You say
let me just clarify.
Responsible for, or that's your ethos. That was the word you used a moment ago.
We have both organisations share an ethos, so both housing associations, both not-for-profit, charitable-based housing associations, committed to building more homes for people in housing need. And that is the fundamental reason why the two organisations came together. As I explained, because together, in a different world, we can do more. And that's why we're doing it. And our ability, the financial strength that we have, gives us the ability to support and see through Merton regeneration and other regeneration schemes. It's a hugely important thing for our board and for us personally to see that delivered and to see it's delivered successfully.
Okay, so that said, from a personal level, for residents, whether you're a freeholder, leaseholder or social tenant, how will merging make it any better for us?
Well, if we're talking about in terms of the regeneration, we've got greater financial capacity to deliver it, as Paul already mentioned.
But that was already
but even
partitioned, wasn't it?
It was partitioned, but even so, it means that we can do more of it, because there aren't just there are other estates right across England that we need to invest in, so we can do more of it. That's important, because even within Circle, the regeneration of the Merton regeneration scheme would take a significant amount of capacity.
But where's the choice for residents? Because 71% of residents in Ravensbury were against it. So where's their choice?
Again, sorry?
Regeneration.
Well, that's not the case.
That's the council survey. Your survey, your own commission survey, came up with a different result. Fair enough, you want to quote your own commission survey.
You don't.
Fair enough. I'm quoting the council's independent survey.
You're quoting the council survey around the estate plan, which you know...
You know that they asked the question, are you in favour of regeneration? You know for a fact 71% are against it.
Well,
so what choice do residents have?
61%
Sorry, can I
of the Ravensbury estate?
Let him respond.
Clearly we did, as you know, and many people here took part in it, we did an extensive survey about a year and a half ago now, when we produced the resident offer and when we produced the first version of the master plan. And many people took part in that survey. And that survey confirmed that at that point, a year and a half ago, when we were first showing the offer, that a majority of people who responded were in favour of regeneration. and that included homeowners as well on Highpath and on Eastfields. Now those figures are all published, they're all on the website, the questions asked are all up there, and the responses are all up there. It's all entirely in the public domain. So there's no question
Are you
at all.
discussing your own commission survey?
We're discussing the survey that was independently commissioned, we are.
That we attended, residents' associations attended, and we were unhappy with the way you conducted yourself, and we're unhappy with the fact that the independent body were getting paid by your good selves.
Of course.
So that we doesn't strike us as very independent.
For free, the survey had to be paid for. I remember those meetings well, and I know you were unhappy with aspects of it.
Not just me, a lot of people were unhappy with it.
Yeah, let him answer.
You'll also be aware that we modified the questionnaire to include questions that you and other members of resident associations asked.
And you changed the questions at the end. You changed the questions at the end, Paul. You can't just sort of give certain, platitudes to me when, in fact, you change the questions.
Chris, you need to let him finish. Yeah, you'll have an opportunity to come back.
I think the problem is, Sifrin, that Paul Quinn twists the truth and has been well known for it.
Can I just say, we're coming back to our objective. We've got two
Austen,
objectives.
please,
Yeah.
just let Paul finish what he was saying, please.
Sure. So the survey details are all online. They're all available. The results are very clear. There was a clear majority of people who responded in favour of progressive regeneration. On the basis of that, we have moved regeneration forward.
But have you published the entire responses? You have published the results, but not responses.
The consultation has continued through the last 18 months, and some of you will have attended the more recent events.
You lack transparency, Paul.
Here on Highpath just in recent weeks.
You lack transparency.
We disagree. That's not.
A lot of people disagree with you, Paul. That's the problem. 71% of Ravensbury residents.
Can I just ask? You're saying the majority of those who responded. What was the turnout rate? What was?
It was 53% across the 3 estates.
Okay, John Kelly.
So 71%
Sorry, excuse me.
So I'm John Kelly from Merton Council.
No, that's not quite right.
And we've got a lot of concern that disabled people's voice, as well as residents equally, aren't heard. We know that many surveys and consultations are inaccessible to disabled people. So I'd like to know what, in addition, you're doing to ensure that you are listening to the voice of disabled people, and you're ensuring that consultations are being participated by disabled people, and you're monitoring that. Can you just give us some examples of what you're doing to ensure that?
Is this in relation to regeneration? Or more generally?
Broadly speaking, about engagement and consultation, it's whatever the survey or the consultation is, it's really important that you're listening to the views of disabled people as equals amongst residents. And we're really concerned that a lot of methods aren't accessible and additional steps aren't being taken to ensure that residents who are disabled people aren't being listened to.
Sure, okay, well, if I speak in relation to regeneration consultation, and again, many of you here will have attended our events, you will know we hold them in local venues. You'll know we hold them daytime and evening and weekends to encourage accessibility. You'll know that we do door knocking as well as telephone responses, that we run events where there are information on display that includes the architects as well as circle staff. That we have attendees from people with disabilities, that it's in the homes that we're proposing, at least 10% will be fully accessible. Now currently, on the Eastfields estate, for example, there was 1 fully accessible property. I think on Highpath, there's potentially 1, maybe 2. So we're talking about a significant increase in the number of accessible properties. And all homes are designed out to lifetime standards, every one of them. So, obviously, there's still relatively early stages of design. But in terms of making sure that we get an offer that's right for disabled people, that we run events that are accessible to disabled people, I don't think we can shy away from that. It's absolutely critically important. But I think that reflects what we've been doing to date. I don't think it's inaccurate to say we have attempted to include people of all sorts of issues and all sorts of expectations at all our events.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Julie.
Sorry, this is a question for Austen.
Could you speak up so everybody in the back can hear
Sorry,
you?
this is a question for Austen. What other external procedures or processes that did Affinity Sutton have to go through as a new landlord in the Merton borough?
Well, Affinity Sutton isn't a new landlord in the Merton borough. So Circle Housing, Merton Priory, still the landlord within the landlord in the borough. So it still remains your landlord. In terms of how we come together when we merge the two groups, the boards have to obviously agree. We have to meet the regulator. There's certain rules that we have to achieve with the regulator. We then have to get the consent of our funders, and then we have to register the merger with the Financial Conduct Authority.
Okay. The reason that I ask is I actually did a customer review on Affinity Sutton, and it's slightly alarming when I've read reviews which say appalling service in every department. Affinity Sutton are useless. We've been waiting for them to address some of our housing issues for 7 years. Discussing soccer watch cookers connected to loose wires. When I first in, I was paying £74 service charge. Then 1 year, it's now jumped to £169 a month. So my concern is you're just about to go and develop this, where you're taking 624 homes from your current portfolio. You're now turning that into 1,600 homes. So how are you going to manage that? And that we're not going to be like 5 years down the line and having the same issues that we're now facing with Circle Housing.
Well, that's sort of two questions. One about service, and then there's the thing in terms of how we're going to
And
approach
Colin,
the
I'm going to come to you.
Can I?
I mean, it's not great PR work. I mean, I just Googled that this afternoon.
I mean,
Because I didn't know about your company.
No. I mean, to be honest, all large organisations who do lots of transactions would unfortunately have some customers who aren't happy, and we don't want any, but we're doing 500 repairs a day, and some of those won't work. The thing that
You've got repairs outstanding over 2 years. You've got repairs outstanding over 2 years. Your repair service is appalling.
It's disgusting. Never mind all this. It's just.
You know,
it's one bad housing.
you've got repairs outstanding in Merton coming up.
Mr. Johnson,
How do you know about?
Because I reported it. Because I reported it on the 20th of January 2015, and it's still not repaired, it's still not fixed.
We have the same
That's how I
Ravenswood.
know, because I'm the customer who complained about it.
This is an Affinity
Circle.
No, this is a Merton property.
I was talking. Can I just answer the question?
It doesn't matter. Well, you know.
Well, it does matter because you're asking the wrong.
It does
you're
quite-
asking the wrong
Okay, I'll ask
question.
him. Why have you got repairs outstanding over 2 years? Well, I've reported it to all and sundry.
You know what? There is one thing. So just so we can keep a lid on this, and I'm mindful of the time, and I know that everybody here wants to ask lots of different questions, but there is one thing. If we can try to formalise it, for want of a better term, at the Sustainable Communities meeting that I attended, one of the councillors who sits on that panel asked Circle why were they merging with Affinity Sutton, and Jackie Andrews, when they asked, in addition to that, the question about your repairs and maintenance programme reputation, she said that, well, theirs isn't as good as ours. Yeah, and I actually went on Twitter because I was sat in the audience and I put it out. Why are we joining a company that's not as good as us? And in view of the fact that our own company isn't that great.
Okay, well, I mean, perhaps I can come back and answer that question because, you know, I'm accepting that we won't always get things right. The difference is I like to think that we will act on it, we will try and deal with it. Customer satisfaction is very important to us, so we measure it for repairs monthly, we measure it for other things quarterly. All of our staff have customer satisfaction as part of their bonus scheme, so it is important to us as an organisation. And You know, we're currently at 83%, which is good for the housing association sector.
Okay.
So I'm not.
That's
pleased-
Affinity, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
that's
Affinity.
Affinity. I'm not pleased to hear those sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, you
But
literally
How,
just
how many
Google.
how many
But
repairs
equally-
have you got
Mr.
that are
Johnson,
beyond
please,
beyond your?
please, just hang on a second.
I'm not pleased to hear about those things, but equally there will be good stories as well. And you know, I'm afraid that's.
If you like, I tell the true story and then I walk out because I'm
Mercedes,
not
look, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you, but I want to go to Colin, who's been patiently
Yeah, but
waiting.
I
I will come to you,
really have to say
Mercedes.
much.
I will come to you. Don't worry. Go
I'm
on.
really up to here.
I know, Colin.
So you say you joined because it gives you a better financial ability to go forward, build more houses.
One reason, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why are you going around the city trying to attract investors, investment parties and meetings, and also why have you started taking out loans on or mortgages or whatever you call it on the properties that you currently own? And why would you be interested in building houses all the time when really you should be fixing all your existing stock first and then moving on to building?
And they never do.
Well, so there's a few questions there. So the first of all, we.
Michael,
Why aren't you fixing what's outstanding?
Michael,
Yeah, excuse me.
Michael.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear what he's saying.
We've got to
talking.
we've got to get a balance between the two. We've got to get a balance between investing in our housing. Now, don't forget, for now, the vast majority of people are actually living in with private landlords. They are paying market rents. They're getting a terrible service, and our aim is to far outstrip those organisations. And we all, not only that, but we also provide security of tenure. So very, very important. So why do we need to raise money? Because we need to raise money to build those homes.
That's why I'm
Sorry?
saying, you said you had enough money between the two of them. That's why
Yes, but it's also about our ability to borrow money, because that's part of the model. Our ability to borrow money is important to finance our development, and then we repay that money back out of our income. So it's a pretty standard model.
But part of that's for private tenants, isn't it?
Sorry?
Highpath regen is all about private tenancies, renting.
No, it's not.
That's what you planned, wasn't it,
No,
Paul?
it's
You
not.
said you'd be a private renter. What's the sector of Circle that's private for private renting?
Well, we've got some private rented, but principally.
What's the name of the department?
Well, I don't.
It's got a brand name, isn't
We've
it?
just reorganised. It was Centra, but we've just reorganised it.
Paul,
However,
Paul will know.
Yeah, and that's not, as people will know if you've been to the consultation events, will know that we're looking at a mix of social rented, private rented and private sale on Highpath. As it is now, it's a mix of those things as it is
so
now.
unlike many of the regeneration schemes that are taking place across things, we are replacing all the social housing on a one-for-one basis. So this is really addressing the concerns. The big challenge we have is not only building new homes, but how we can constantly improve our stock. If you remember, it wasn't 15 years ago. A lot of people didn't have central heating. We've had a massive exercise to improve the heating. Everyone takes it for granted now, but it wasn't that long ago. I've been sadly around long enough to remember when lots of people didn't have central heating.
If you're only doing it one-to-one, what do these residents care about new people moving in? Why don't you just repair their home?
Because the homes have got to a position where they're as it were beyond repair.
That
We've
is
looked
what
at
they
that.
said where I lived in Orchard Village, and it was £4 million was the figure banded around to get it up to the decent home standard, which was a situation that has been manipulated by the council and the housing association for years of not doing repairs. And now we've got an £80 million regeneration that's falling apart, that is major structural defects.
Well,
I
think to say to say Mr. Nicholas is falling apart is not the case. It's the.
Well, hang on. Colin, hang on.
Yeah,
Hang on.
yeah.
Are you referring to his estate or?
Well, I was referring, yes, because it's just said about another estate, and it's
you
quite.
ask your colleague next to you who came to the estate
Yeah,
yesterday.
I absolutely know. The thing we've got problems with. I absolutely know that we've got issues with the construction of one of the latest phases of it.
Okay.
And we're addressing that, and these things unfortunately happen, and we'll be making sure. I mean that the contractor, for example, that was involved there, I don't think won't be involved in the regeneration here. But however, when any company that is in construction and building will have issues, and they're being
Everything's
addressed.
got issues.
Right, Jill, hang on. I want to come to Michael. Hang on a second, Jamie. Michael, I'm going to come to you, Jamie, in a second. Michael.
So, Councillor Michael Ball, I'm a councillor in Merton. Just wondering, post-merger, how the voice of residents will be represented on the board. I gather that Affinity Sutton run local governance panels. However, I'm also aware that those governance panels are not part of the governance structure of the organisation.